Hello, sexy souls. Welcome back to another episode. I am joined, and a lot of you have been waiting for her and been asking me. I'm joined by the lovely Claudette in London. She is the founder and creator of Skystrology. Um, Not many people, I would say, know about this because I feel like we're going through a very big shift energetically. And I feel like it's all in divine timing. And I want to ask Claudette how she got into this as well. But basically, I feel like humanity is ready for something bigger. That the way I look at Skystrology as well, Claudette, is we're going back to the ancient times, but also it's faster now because we have technology to help us understand the mathematics and what is actually happening in the sky. Because the old systems are a little bit outdated and they just need a little tweaking because the frequency is off. That's how I feel about it. And it's been my journey so far. But yeah, I want to let Claudette introduce herself.
Well, first, I want to thank you for this opportunity to share Skystrology with you and your sexy souls.
Oh, I love
It's
you.
been a blessing, and I'm so grateful for your input and for being part of the Skystrology community. And, just so, like I always say, okay, I am, the messenger, it's just my journey that the universe decided to bring into this life of mine. And through a real a real experience of life and the situations that presented themselves and the teachings that I learned through the situations that presented themselves, that I was able to create and stand by Skystrology, because it's not just about the numbers or a different calculation as to those Vedic astrology or Western astrology or 13 sign astrology. It is really a practice of how to reconnect to our sky, to reconnect, you could say, to source, because nothing really can interfere with the ancient bodies, heavenly bodies, celestial language that has been created over time and has been used and exercised over centuries.
Mhm.
And by me having that experience from being 19 with my first Western astrology consultation as a birthday present, to going to the highlands of Scotland and realizing that there's another system of measurement that actually has an impact on our biological lives. And then I always say the final realization was really in on the Red Sea in Egypt, when I, based on really my journey and my teachings and my awakening, like so many say in 2012, I learned to make decisions out of love, and I just threw away my hat career. I'm a hat designer, and took care of my mother. And by doing that, I was able to have a relationship with the night sky every single day, but also in the daytime between the sun and the moon, because when you're in the middle of nowhere on the Red Sea, this is really a big part of the energies and environment. Like on a full moon, I'm literally standing between the moon setting and the sun rising. And these experiences were able to give me the codes, or however you want to see them, for Skystrology. And then last but not least at all is when people share, like yourself, Joseph, and all of the students that I have, because I feel like I'm a teacher, they have validated even more and supported Skystrology to really be what it is. And it is kind of more like a movement, you know?
It is because it speaks to your soul. Like when you read my sky, everything you said to me, it was like an activation. I'm not joking. It was like I kept saying to you, it's like you've cracked a code for me. But it's literally just you're just reading the information, and you're like, it's like you're a messenger, you're a medium, but you understand. This is what I see with you, Claudia, is like you have the logical side of your brain, but you're also in perfect harmony with the flow of life. So you have this perfect way of interpreting information. And I would call you a psychic. I would, like, you might not you
No.
might not see yourself as a psychic, but you're a psychic for the sky. Like you're able to interpret the messages in that way. And it's when I started looking more and more and more into this, and especially how you in your sky astrology you talk about the womb as well and the 0 degrees. I want to talk about that, how you the 12th house and everything as well, and you can explain it.
Mhm.
But that 0 degrees and just how everything it's all to do with intuition, sky astrology for me. It's like you're teaching yourself. You can't really find information about sky astrology because it's a journey that's personal. You're able to, go back to ancient texts, and you've done a lot of research, and you've, been able to discern what you want to take for this and bring it forward, because we're at a time now when where it's so important to be discerning. And I think having something that is exact, and being able to get your phone and check exactly where the moon is, not where it is in Western or Vedic, where it is exactly. And um you see, intuitively, I asked you about the degrees, how you do that. You told me about it's just numerology, and the vibration and energy of that is how you kind of interpret it. And I was like, that's what I was doing intuitively. But I want you to explain a little bit about the the way that the moon is, like people say the moon is in, I don't know, they were saying it was in Taurus recently, and it was actually in Aries space. um how do you feel that people react to that? Like, because I feel that a lot of people, it kind of triggers them because of attachments to, a star sign, when I really don't see. I see that this is part of knowing that you're ready for sky astrology. Is you get a calling because you no longer have attachments to things. You just
Mm.
want to be able to connect higher to source, to your higher self. But can you just explain a little bit about how, I don't know, I'll let you go with what you want to say.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, thank you, for, kind of, from your experience showing me what it is, because it has been quite uncanny, because I don't think of myself, as someone, the thing is, I've kind of gone away from the fact that this is developed because I believed in astrology. I used it, and I used it to kind of say build the career, or I would all the time. I mean, it was like every day. Where's the sun? But based on the books, this ephemeris or the Western, I didn't know that it wasn't what wasn't happening in the sky. So that's the first thing. What I do a lot of times is in the discovery calls, which I think, is something that, I would like to, do on a special occasion with people, is to tell them, unfortunately, and I always said they know not what they do, is that the language in Western astrology is um it's incorrect. I was like, I try to say incorrect, but it is misleading, and they don't know what they do because they are taught this primarily about connecting it to astronomy, and then using the symbols, the visual symbols of the sun and the moon, and then they'll use also the constellations. And that for me is where I draw the line, because we are shifting, like you said, and we are more discerning. So when people associate Western astrology with the constellations, they're doing a little bit of a disservice that they really don't understand, because Western astrology has not advanced from the time that it was set up thousands of years ago. I don't even use the word rulers or king. I just, because that is also an antiquated um language, energy, spell,
Mm-hmm.
vocabulary to keep you in this idea where the Western astrology began.
Mm-hmm.
And so to start to really even open your mind to it is to actually know what's going on. And that is, I think a lot of people are just curious. I mean, curiosity is fantastic. If you're just curious, that was my question. It was really funny. And I like to say this because my mother was religious, but I wasn't really brought up religiously, but I had great respect for the church and for religion. And I'll never forget when I sat that night on the Red Sea, like not on the beach lounge. I sat on the sand and I was watching the full moon. And everybody knows the constellation of Orion, and it's so huge, and it was, moving. And before the constellation of Orion is actually the Taurus constellation, because Orion is actually below but between the constellations of Taurus and Gemini. And I had seen the full moon and its big glory, and you could see it amongst the stars of Orion, because when the moon is full, of course, it washes out a lot of the time the stars around it. So even though I couldn't pick out the stars from Taurus as well as I normally could, I definitely could see with my eyes the constellation of Orion and place then, of course, where the moon was. And by, of course, being someone who's interested in astrology, I mean, I was online as well, and there's just so much noise, I call it, so much information bombardment of, oh, the full moon's in Gemini, oh, Gemini. And like, you can't look anywhere without somebody saying this is where it is, right? And it's so funny because they'll look at a chart and they'll go, look, it's in Gemini, and it'll be a drawing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was really scared to come out with Skystrology at the beginning, but I remember sitting there on the Red Sea looking up and seeing this, and I thought, why do they want to ignore this? After I watched the stars rise literally out the Red Sea so quickly, because they rise very fast and the stars, you see them move across the sky. And I said, why do they want to ignore the magic of the skies? And I just thought, they're hiding God,
Yep.
because you can't hide the sky. You have to distract, you have to program, you have to do everything else to keep them busy, not to look up.
Mm-hmm. This is going to trigger people from my side of things as well, because I believe that the tarot is outdated as well, and it's also got a certain frequency that kind of keeps you in a trap. That is my opinion. And I'm like, why don't we update the tarot and make it more fun and free?
Oh, that is
Like,
so funny, because I was thinking that too. I also tap lightly saying these things, but I just feel, because I just see the tarot because it is physical,
mm-hmm,
right? And so it is vulnerable to
mm-hmm,
taking on the frequencies,
mm-hmm,
period.
yep.
So, you know,
And
and that's why I say nothing between me and my sky,
yeah, that's me as well. I use, because when I'm doing tarot, it's like I am reading here. I'm reading
Mm,
my connection. And then the right tarot cards that are going to clarify that for me
right.
after I'm done. Because I don't read tarot like normal tarot readers, because as well, tarot is based on the Gregorian system.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't know fully. I didn't do enough research, but it's like that's another. It's just different systems, and when we start to realize and take back our own power, these things become easier, and you start to realize that everything has been about trying to hide God from us, really. And this is what the whole awakening is. And I honestly believe that God is now actually making it a lot more easier for us to let go. Recently, I feel like we're letting go of a lot of things quicker than we've ever done before. And this is just another one of those things, is you have to be able to discern that this is the truth. Like, it's the ancient people used to do this.
Yeah.
And we have, like you always say, you have an app on your phone, you can hold it up and there's the moon in the right constellation, not over here where they're saying it is. Like, it's all about the old way, the old energy that was trying to trap us, but they couldn't stop. You can't stop God doing what God's got to do. And God is here to show us, okay, back to harmony again. And I honestly believe this is what I got a message from my guides earlier on before I started talking to you, that Skystrology is to bring us back into harmony with who we truly are. It's not about the information that you read in books. It's about the journey of, especially for people who are intuitive. I feel like Skystrology, that is what, for me, because I am a psychic, I never really resonated with either astrologies, to be honest. I just was like, I don't get it, because intuitively I kind of just know something that is not
No,
right.
it's off, right?
Yeah. But when I found Skystrology, I was like, this just, everything is flowing again. And when I would like work with your calendar, which I love your calendar, when I would work with the energies and listen to your podcast, and now I recently just got my Skystrology chart read by Cloudette, and it was like, honestly blew me away, because it feels like I'm living in a dream, but it's a beautiful dream because it's all in flow with what I know is true now. It's like I'm able to discern so easily now because I can read my Skystrology. I can also pick up messages a lot clearer now. It's like, can we talk about how I used to hate? So I used to be very triggered by the whole Virgo energy. And I feel like as well, so whenever I found out from my Western astrology that I was actually an Aries, I was like, I don't like Aries. And I'm being like, I don't like Aries. It triggers me. And I didn't like Gemini either. And it's funny, all the signs, this zodiac signs that I thought I didn't like, they're all in my chart. This is the funniest thing about what all the other astrology kind of does. It's like I'm just going to say it because I don't care. It keeps you stuck. And until you realize that, it's all based on old systems that have now done their service. Everything is divine and there for a purpose. I think the whole matrix system is here for a reason, but now it's time for that to crumble. And I honestly, in my paradigm where I am currently right now in my life, there is no veil anymore. It's just we need to wait for everyone else to kind of just take back their power. But I don't know where I was going with that. Do you have anything to say?
Yes, because like we were talking about the Virgo thing, and it's so funny because I had the same thing. And I realize it's again this problem of the language of astrology. That's why I had some really triggering. Somebody sent me a message saying, you want me to you don't have a place on your site where I can just find out where my planets are. And I was like, listen, when people cannot think, they can just find out where the planets are and then go read everything that Western astrology says, because it is a limiting language. It infers a lot. It, like Elizabeth says, who's the co-creator of the calendar that Joseph was talking about, it is putting people in categories. It's separating us. So one minute, people say, "Oh, separation is an illusion, and this we're all one," and then the next minute they're saying, "I'm a Scorpio, and you're this, and you're that," and it's like, no, that's the language. That's the limiting language. And literally, I have to tell you, it's so funny because I had a difficult birth with my first son, and I was so crazy about astrology. And I remember I bought a Swatch watch. He was born in 89. I bought a Swatch watch exactly for that occasion of his birth, put it on, and I was going into labor, and I was like, "Oh my God, he can't be a Gemini moon. No, no." I was like, "No, I can." Really, I was like obsessed. And also, I had found that
So while you're on the bed, you're looking
yeah,
at the clock.
I know. Because I was in labor for like a day. It was crazy. Anyway, and then with Virgo, and the funny thing, and in the new in the real Skystrology, he's gonna be Gemini moon anyway. So I thought I had missed him. But also, yeah, I always said, "Oh, Gemini, just blah blah blah." All these informations that I had been programmed to believe with this vocabulary, with the whole program
Mhm.
of Western astrology, perpetuating a lot of separation in your gifts. And I felt that way about Virgo. "Oh, Virgo is so meticulous, blah, blah." All these adjectives that I kept being fed, programmed all my life. But with Skystrology, I have to say Virgo and Gemini are one of my favorite energies, together
Yeah.
with Orion, because that's where the Gemini keeps the conversation going, the curiosity and the expansion of language, and using communication to keep these vibrations going. When you think and understand that that is what's actually happening,
Mhm.
whew, everything shifts. And the same with Virgo, we were talking about it. It's the largest space that our sun, the ecliptic of our sun, travels, and it travels there for 44 days. And the sun moves 1 degree a day. So it's a 44. And when I talk about it, and it's so beautiful, I'll just like share when I say someone has this Virgo energy, this is the biggest space. So if you really want to manifest something, because it's the Virgo, it's the earth element, it's connected to the version, and it is connected to harvesting. And when you have an idea and you have a very ambitious idea, then there's a lot of things that have to happen for
Mhm.
it to really represent and manifest itself the way that it should.
This
And
is
it starts with, sorry?
that there is speaks to that speaks truth, because manifestation, when you know the right energy, you don't have to manifest, it just happens because you just know it. It's like when I knew about the Virgo energy, and I have a Virgo moon in Skystrology, which I did not know, but I spoke to you before and you were like, you kept making me talk about it. I was like, basically, I got really connected to the Virgo energy, and I realized that on a Virgo 0 degrees moon, I have a moon in Virgo, that all of these crazy like opportunities would happen and I would be blown away. It was like I was manifesting things like on the spot.
Yeah.
And then Claudette was like, "Oh, well, funny that you have a Virgo moon in Sky Astrology." I was like, "I love it." I was
I
like,
know. This was so beautiful because, when I said to you, because, you started with the calendar, you didn't start with the consultation. And so we had this beautiful time where you could just instinctively connect to the calendar, which is kind of reverse for a lot of people in the community. And
I'm weird like
so
that. I do
he was
think
like, "I've been getting this Virgo's energy." And I was like, "Oh, really?" It was like so amazing for you to see that. I mean,
and
priceless.
I want to talk quickly just about just a few little things from my Sky Astrology that you pointed out. So the first thing I want to quickly go over is in the second house, I have Sagittarius, and I don't really have Sagittarius in my other astrologies, but I
Hmm.
was always so connected to it. And when I was following the calendar, and then it's all connect, like it's crazy. So when I was following the calendar, on that night, I went out, I was looking at my phone and was connecting with a Sagittarius energy, and that whole night was just massive downloads. And when you brought up that my Sagittarius and my Mars, and they're all kind of linked together to, it's all about me. My sole purpose, which you told me, is to bring people together to help us like move forward together instead of like, because I feel like in the spiritual community, everybody kind of wants to keep things, information they're scared to share. And I want to kind of like break that away and be like, we're not stealing things from each other. We're not like copying people. This is all about sharing. And that's what I feel like my sole purpose is like, we have to share our wisdom. Like it's the scarcity mindset that we've been programmed that like, you know, your knowledge is your power, and it is, but also you have to be able to share it and be in flow with it. But the stars, I want to just talk quickly now. So you told me about, well, actually I didn't, in your course that we'll talk about at the end, just going to do a little surprise for everybody. It's going to be at the end, so just wait till the end. But
I will stay to the end.
but you also bring up in the sky chart the stars that were in the sky, the most kind of brightest. Is it the brightest or?
No, it's based on the ones that are particular to your sky. So everybody has different skies in their different stars in their sky.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because then there's yeah.
Because not everybody has, and everybody has their own system, but I have a very tight system that's based on my actual experience with stars and stargazing. So that's what and it's so impactful for people to know that, because nobody talks about that really a lot in Western astrology, and then when they do, it's not in the right position.
So this was before I got speaking to Cloudette, but the night before, or a couple of days before, I think it was, I was intuitively, I keep getting messages. So I just hear this guy kind of talk to me, and it was like, look outside your window. And I was like, okay. So I opened the window, and there it was again, the Vega star that I always communicate with recently. And I was just like, oh, hey, in my head, telepathically speaking. And the star replied, hello, Joseph Monroe. And when the star replied that to me in my head, I was like, whoa, that just feels like that's me. And I was like, what? So I have been wanting to change my name from Joseph Moon to Joseph Monroe now for a while. I haven't done it yet. But when I had looked up what Monroe meant, it's a Celtic and Scottish name that means the mouth of the river. And when Cloudette was reading my Skystrology, it's like these stars have kind of moved in a circle, and it feels like your Skystrology moves, and certain parts of this astrology are most like, would that be right, that certain parts of your life, it's more enhanced in certain areas? Would that make sense?
Well, yeah, it's, what it is really a quantum physics thing. It is this energy pull, right? Because the stars are day stars somewhere else. Yeah.
Yes.
And so it is really, it is a magical thing because they are pulling the energy and a line, and it is a journey. Right? And so at certain parts of your journey, certain energies are more online, and then in certain parts they aren't. And they need to be where they are.
Yeah. And I want to finish with this because so the next star here, which is in my 4th house, which is in Aquarius, and I have been feeling 4th house as well as home, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been feeling for the past couple of years, I've been always wanting to go to Australia. I just didn't know why, and I didn't know when it was the right timing. And I'm very specific about timing. If it doesn't feel right, I'll not do it just then. I'm kind of stubborn like that. I'll wait until I really feel like I'm ready. But that Vega star said, hello, Joseph Monroe. And then the next star on my chart, which is in the 4th house, is, what is it called again, Claudette?
Archanar.
And what does that translate to?
End of the river.
And you can only see that star in the Australian hemisphere. Is that right?
Yeah, well, you can only see it below the latitudes of, say, Houston, Texas. But I say that because one of the students who is from America, actually, she lives in Australia. And I was like, oh, and she has Archon on it. So I said, oh, can you have a look at Archon? Because people who have it here, they can't stargaze upon it, which is a part of the Skystrology practice, is stargazing. And she did, and she came back. She said, I cannot unsee that star.
It's amazing. And I can't wait to see it. No, I'm like,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah, because I feel like it's gonna be so special because it's like my that was literally guiding me before you even had given me the reading. It's all like it's divine, and that's why I love it so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah. And the fourth house, like you say, the fourth house is like to get away from, I like call them experiences, but what the fourth house signifies is the I see. It is the foundation of the soul. Right, so first, that's the beginning of the house, the foundation of the soul, which is connected to the soul's journey, and is where the point where you recognize, oh, this is why I'm here, and where you feel nurtured and secure to bounce to go to the 10th house, to bounce off this home, this space, and to have the activities of the soul that we call it in Skystrology. Is the 10th house. It's not career. It is why the activities of your soul. And so it's a process, because that's what makes it so abundant, is really, going through this journey and collecting all the remnants, all the souvenirs, all the experiences to have this fulfilling journey, and to be in that, and aligned with the divine. That's why I call it the divine, because I call those stars, the divine intervention, the gifts. They are the gifts, because they are there. I've seen
Yeah,
the
and
impact that they have.
speaking of gifts, you told me, because I have the Arcturian star, Arcturus, or yeah, I have that.
Arcturian.
Yeah, I have that star just as I was being born. It's like just coming. It's just there. And you told me, like, did my mother used to speak to herself and she said, yeah, well, she still does it. And you said that has to link. That's linked to that star, and that's why I can hear things, because I was hearing her voice in the womb. It's also kind of as if I can hear the sky or the stars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's amazing. I don't even know how it works, but it's like I say, a lot of the research, a lot of the validation with Skystrology comes from all my students. And it's just because I created a system that has a different take on things. It's like,
It
okay,
works
well,
for
what's
its.
happening?
It works for itself, though. It's kind of like there's no, you know what I mean? It's like it's constantly in flow. That it's like the magic behind it, because you just have to be, again, like the messenger, and then it comes back, and then we're like scientists kind of, in a way, because we're able to be in flow with our intuition, as well as have the mathematics and everything down. But I want to kind of quickly talk about the houses, and how you say you share space with houses, and the 0 degrees in the 12th house, if you want to just explain that a little bit.
Sure. So there's most, I don't know, I looked, after I decided to have a 0 house, but of course, everybody knows this house system 1 to 12. And in my teachings, I would always say, oh, well, let's go back. If I wanted to explain the sky and I want to explain the ascendant where you start, I said, well, let's go back to the 12th house first. And when I was in the experiences, I was finding information there that was connected to what was happening before they were born, and then going back to the biology and the current biology, knowing that I think Trisha found it is a intuitive energy that even scientists have validated. But I didn't know this. I just, my intuition, I don't know, I always say I don't know anything, but I knew there was something in this house. And I was just, my job really is, I'm not afraid to tear it apart and put it back together again.
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to say, oh, well, if this is what they say, that's got to be it. I'm like, well, let's look at it from another angle. What if?
Mhm.
And because I can prove my past lives, I didn't want to, be one to say, oh, I believe reincarnation is real, because I still don't know how it works. I want to know how it works, but I know mathematically it's true. And I'm lucky enough to have physical evidence to show that. That's amazing. That is why my journey shows me that, because you have this factual evidence to prove reincarnation, then why have a 12th house where it says like the in, isolation, all the adjectives they use for the 12th house
Yeah.
are really based on the Western system or the religious system of saying you're born. Oh, everything about the ascendant, the first, you're born and then you die
Yeah.
in isolation. But no, if you have a soul that never dies and the energy never dies, and we don't really die. So why is that the in-house? And together with really the community, with Trisha saying she works with childhood drama, somebody in our Skystrology community, she works with childhood drama from 0 to I think she said 7, and then I remember the Rudolph Steiner from 0 to 7, and then I spoke to Jilly about it, the water priest, which is really why also I know Joseph, because that I wanted to say that because Jilly has this abundant energy in with her Jupiter, and that's exactly what she does. And Jupiter is connected to the 0 house, which I call the cradle of intuition, and to Sagittarius. So what you were saying, Joseph, about Sagittarius is so embodied in how Julie teaches about this abundance and moving together and sharing the energy. Like you said, a lot of people, they keep it for itself, but there's one in our spirit community, there's nobody as sharing as Jilly, right? And
She's so, the way that it's because she is full on what she knows, and she knows that she's in full connection to not only the 4 elements, but she understands that where we're at right now is that water energy that we need to kind of, because again, it's all connected, like the financial system, everything is connected at this right here, right now. And being someone that's dealt with a lot of darker stuff to help me understand what's going on and help other people, it's gone. This darkness that has been lingering and controlling us for such a long time, it's gone from the planet, let's say. I don't know how to, I fully don't understand how that works. I just know that with my own triggers, my own demons, they're not here anymore. And I've been getting more and more confirmations from clients that, anger, fear, and all of these lower vibrational energies are different, would you say? Like everything at the minute feels like it has shifted, that our triggers are not as difficult to deal with anymore, or our fear of death isn't really a thing anymore for a lot of people. It's like death is not, we'd never die. There's no
no,
death.
yeah, we never die. And so yeah, that's why I took, it wasn't really fun. It was, the 0 degree is different from the 0 house, but of course, really the research I did to really understand the mathematics is a system of mathematics, and then there's a system of research and a system of exploration. So in exploring it's the 0 degree, I fell upon, or I researched, well, what does 0 mean and where does it come from? Right? And it's a placeholder.
Mhm.
And in architectural Egyptian teachings and explanation, it is the space between when they build above the ground, the pyramid, and the space they build below pyramids. And that is 0. And
Like ether.
Oh my God. Well, it's Nefertiti because its Nefer is 0 and it means beautiful. And it's like a balance. That's what you look for when weighing things. But, the 0, I thought it's a space holder for the soul. If it's about the soul's journey, right? And then that's a space before you reincarnate again. It's a space of isolation. All the things for me were explaining what the experience is for the baby in the womb
Mm-hmm.
instead of focusing on the end of life, because we don't have an end of life. So that's how it all came about with the 0 to 0, because it's not an end. So, it includes 0 to 11, but then you go again into the 0 space. I just love it, and it's helped with the work. And then after I put the course out and found this out, one of our clients who came to the last meeting, she's part Chinese, and she said that she has 2 ages because the Chinese count the year in the womb.
Yeah, and that it just makes sense. Like it does. And
Mm-hmm.
I know as well, like from you talking to me as well, I'm not going to talk more about that, but you explained it to me and it just makes sense. But I love what you said about the pyramid above and below,
Mm.
because I feel like 0 degrees is the heart center, because that is where, and that's currently where we're transitioning through, is
Mm-hmm.
we're transitioning through the heart space into the throat space, which is about expansion. The throat is all about speaking our truth. You
Mm-hmm.
can't, the throat, like when they talk about chakras and stuff, that the throat space is about truth. You cannot lie. You cannot, you have to be wanting to expand. And we've through 2020 and now still 2021 for the next 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're moving through that kind of, if you want to look at it like that energy of understanding that this is all a fight for, this is a fight against us not, they don't want us to realize what love is, what true love is. And true love is unity with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to also connect with that part below, because when you're connecting into the core of the earth, that's like, below and above. And then what I always do is I pull it into my heart space, and that's, I don't know how to explain it, but that's my 0 degrees.
Ah,
And
beautiful.
it's
Yeah.
understanding that this is all about love. And
Mm-hmm.
if we understand love, we understand everything.
Yeah.
That's it. And nothing can really trigger you anymore. And for me, my journey with Skystrology has been all about that. It's just been the 0 degrees energy. It's so special. It's like everything kind of stops. You kind of realize what's really going on. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
fall out of the 3D kind of like busy. I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I have notifications though to tell me when it's a 0 degrees moment, and I'm like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
And the other night, um, I forget what it was, because I've changed the calendar, but it was so special. Something, I forget what energy it was, but I was surrounded by friends, and it was like, oh my god, this is a 0 degree moment. I didn't even look at what it was really. I just knew because I got the notification, and we were having a really special time talking about the past. It was almost like we were shedding it. It was
Wow.
just a really, really special moment. But I want you to, because you've done a bit of research on this, and I'm not a researcher person, to be honest. I just go with what my guides kind of show me stuff. I don't always know what it means, and I'm just kind of like, okay. But I have always been wanting to, and Jilly's been doing that as well. She took back her power from, the moon energy. And
Mm-hmm.
because the moon manipulated the stock market, it manipulated lots of things. The moon
Mm-hmm.
affects our internal waters. Um, and I called myself Joseph Moon because I don't really care about names, labels, anything. I like to put myself in a place where I don't want to be. So I named myself Joseph Moon. I was the Raven Tarot, but then I became Joseph Moon, and now I'm changing my name to Joseph Monroe, because it's like a new me. It's a fresh start. That's my way of like
Mm-hmm.
celebrating this online presence I have, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm different in my everyday life to how I am like with my clients and stuff. Like I have to kind of live in a 3D world when I'm with family and stuff, kind of.
Yeah.
But I want you to talk about how can people kind of take back their power from the moon, because from what I've seen is the moon worship is linked to the darker forces. It's like I said this to you before, it's like the TV is the broadcaster, but back in the ancient times they used the moon's energy to kind of manipulate people. That's how I feel about it sometimes. But the moon is not good nor bad. It's just a thing that we have to realize that we're not attached to it. We just have to understand what it is. But there's a lot to it that you could go into. But I would just want to say, like, well, how can you maybe explain to people the moon's energy and how to take back their power from it and understand it a little bit more?
Well, we did have an amazing Zoom gathering where we pulled this apart. It was really amazing, to be honest. And a lot of things came from that. But what I found,
We channeled in
like
that.
you said,
We were like full on channeling.
I was saying that, yeah, we had, remember like months ago, right? About how we are the moon. So when I just want, like, kind of being the researcher, like, I really like to do to kind of find some facts to the woohoo or to the implications.
We need that though.
Yeah. What I found is that if the sun and the moon were exactly the same distance from the earth, the sun would be 177 times more impactful on the energies of the earth. And also that the moon is not made of it's made of there's no water there. You know how they say, oh, we're looking for life. You're looking for life. It has to have water. Well, the moon doesn't have any water. Yeah. And the sun is made out of hydrogen and helium, which is the first, phase of water. It's the same thing we're made out of, hydrogen and helium. H2O is water. The hydrogen, right? And the oxygen, that's water. And so when I'm like really excited about this little reel I did, because it seemed like, to be honest, I had the intent, but it just clicked because the divine universe wanted it to. And it helped me as well, because in the daytime, when you look at the sun, there are stars in the sky, but you can't see them because of the brightness of the sun. But you can see, for example, now, because the moon is growing, you can see the moon, right? But when you can use the app, like Joseph says, you can see where the stars are, or where the moon is, which stars the moon is amongst. And so when we kind of take back our true essence of who we are, and we are made of stardust, and our sun is a day star, and our sun is exchanging energies with like-minded elements and energies in the sky, which are stars, and these stars make up the constellations that have been turned into signs that are off.
Yes.
Right? So that's why when you stay with constellations, you're staying with the stars, and the stars are arranged, or they have been seen by our ancestors as a way to use a language to live in harmony with nature. Right? And so the moon, I see it as a measuring tool in a way, right? But it's not a living organism. That's my take on it, because I always say, we don't know if somebody's been to the moon, they're the ones who know what's happening up there.
Exactly.
But when I never did, rituals for the moon anyway. It just never resonated with me, period.
No, I did. You see, this is the thing. I did do it.
Mm-hmm.
But because part of my path was to dabble in the dark side, to understand and transmute it. So I have had experience with dark demonic energies before, and I've talked about it loads. I don't really focus on that now because we need to now move more so on keeping people like the future's bright.
But do you think
Because
that connected with your connection to the dark side doing these moon rituals?
oh, it got me. Do you see the way demons and things work? They pull you in to try and manipulate you. But I know that I'm coming from a very high place.
Mm-hmm.
These dark demonic energies are stuck in the fourth dimension. That's where they can only be.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know. They think they can control. They don't have the power. You see, this is what
Mm-hmm.
it's all about for them. The higher vibrational beings are us. We see the bigger picture that they can't see. That's why they're stuck. That's why it's all going this way. They're
Mm-hmm.
gone. I would say they're gone. I honestly feel like we're not weird things now that are happening with people and their dreams and stuff like this. This is their fear. They need to get through that. They need to wake up. They need to go through that and move past it, is what my
Mm-hmm.
opinion is on all of this. But the moon, I got this message recently. The moon is being used now against the dark. So I don't know what that means, but it's
Interesting.
almost like there is something going on the moon that we don't understand. Because for me, the earth is the feminine, the sun is the masculine. The masculine is the protector of the feminine. So the sun is protecting and giving life to the earth gives life as well. It's a dualist, it's like both of them. But why is the moon there? If the earth is the feminine, why are we ignoring, and you know what I mean? Everything is about destroying the earth and we're all focused on the moon when we should be focused
Hello. Yeah.
right under you. You're on the moon. If you want to look at it like that, you're standing on the
Hello.
moon.
Oh, it's so simple. The answers are there.
Yeah. If
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's a
Mm-hmm.
moon, inside the earth or something but I don't see it like that. I see that we're on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
You want to
Oh,
look at it
that's
like,
interesting.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like why is there three energies? Why is there a
Mm.
sun, a moon, and an earth when it's
Yeah.
like,
It's just the sun. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
just my personal take on it, but I
Oh,
just
you
feel,
know what? You just said something because I, dabble in quantum physics is when I think about. And when you think about the 3D, when you just said that, then bringing in the 3D,
mhm,
the sun, the moon is the third,
yeah,
right?
mhm.
And
To trap us in the third
yeah, yeah. I
dimension.
mean, because I really think sometimes it's like it's got to be simple. Let's bring
Mhm.
it back. Let's bring it back to zero.
Yes.
Let's bring it back to zero. So yeah, I do believe as far as where we're at. When I don't get kind of triggered that much by these things, because I just say, and also Jilly when we talk, it's like, that's just so 3D because you know the fact is that it's all energy. And so when you want to visualize it and you're putting all that attention, you're like so visual, you're stuck in the 3D with the visuals. If you understand how energy works and you understand really what they have discovered, that a lot of the images we have are in our heads. The Max Planck University or institution, and I remember seeing something on BBC 15 years ago, was taking into account how people, once they could measure where the brain had made the decision, there was a lack to when the actual body moved to share that decision, and all the things that they will tell you with like holographic universe or frequencies or what Tesla says, because we are in the time of Tesla, is that matter doesn't exist until you give attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Period. It
It's
doesn't exist until that's how powerful we are. And that takes you, like, if you're ready to go there, right? But that is in a way a way out of this 3D. Or you can say, okay, this is the 3D, and because it's normal, like we're in the metamorphosis, I always say. So, understand that, oh, this is the 3D reality, but it's not the only reality, period.
mm.
Right?
We need to this is why discernment, it doesn't happen naturally, but everyone goes through a process of these, shattering like belief systems and blah 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 blah, and it goes on and on and on until you realize that nothing really triggers me. Something new can come my way, and I'd be like, oh, I believe this. This is better for me. Suits what I want for myself. And I can just shed, and it's no problem for me now. But that takes, I feel like, a while for some people, because you have to go through this like initiation period of like understanding what discernment is, and that most of the things that are happening are a distraction for you to realize that you being in the present moment is what really it is all about, because that's what everything is. Everything is trying to take us to the past and take us to the future. You can, when you're in the now, when you're present and you're with yourself, it's like you see everything as a whole. You're not I don't know how to explain it, but this is just
no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah,
like the now space is the circle, the zero, whereas the 3D is the splitting, the lanes.
Like you said, the sun, moon, and the earth, right?
Yeah.
When there should just be sun and earth, right?
Yeah, it's like over there or over there, like
no. It makes so much sense. Yeah.
But I could, oh my God, Claudia, I could talk to you for hours.
It's been amazing.
And yes, we did talk for hours that Zoom call that we did. It was amazing. But I want to kind of just end on, so I'm gonna show everyone, because some people, I'm gonna have these links and everything in the description box. But some people don't just watch it on their TV and they can't be bothered to go to the description box. So this is just Claudette's, her link tree. And that's your Instagram handle too, aka, yeah?
Yes.
So all her links are on this. God, it's reversed. The link tree. So all of her links are there. And this is actually just, if you want to go straight to her website, it's skystrology.love if you want to have a little nosy. But also we're going to it'll all be organized by the time it's in the description box. But we're going to do a little special thing for everyone, because I have done the ABC course, but didn't we talk about, like, we want to do it as like a live. I'll let you explain it.
Yeah. So over this last year, just really the experience where, I was able to have quite long discussions with students, and in an effort to really share more about Skystrology, because there isn't like loads of books or loads of references like there are for Western astrology, and it's not the same. I created this course, what I like to call the ABC experience. And it just has the basics of, showing you the difference between Western, and showing you what Skystrology bases the information off of. And I thought it would be nice, to do a live version. And then Joseph said, oh, yes, I would love to do it too, because Joseph did the course, the experience himself online. So we thought it would be really nice. It would be good practice for me as well to invite some of your viewers to be an audience with us as we explain and share the Skystrology ABC experience. And and it'll be also a place where you can actually get your sky as well upon completion of one of these of our gathering online.
And we're probably going to do it maybe next week, just to kind of give everyone an idea. We'll organize this now soon. But I'm excited, and I feel as well like people who are new to Skystrology, like, it's a journey that it's honestly something that's completely changed everything for me. So if you've been feeling like you just don't get anything, you're in this kind of limbo space, take maybe that step forward to just even come to the class that we're going to do, just to kind of sit and see because the course is really, really well put together, Claudette.
Oh, thank you.
And the way, like, everything is just, I remember when I was looking at the course the first time, I was like, yeah, I get that, understand it. And it just, everything seemed like it just made sense. So if you're still not sure and you're like, because I understand that whenever you realize that, first of all, people were finding out that there's a 13th sign and they were like, oh shit. And they're like freaking out. And I'm like, this is just the beginning.
Yeah, because Skystrology acknowledges 15 constellations. And, I like just to people know you're not just your sun sign. You are so abundant. You have access to all the energies.
I'm special. I actually feel so connected to Cetus, which is sharing space with Aries.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
yep,
That is the true energies. Yeah.
yep, like that water dragon. I feel it so much. Last thing I wanted to say, I just want to explain to people how I feel like this, what Claudette is doing, is going to affect everything moving forward. As I said already, I feel like this is just my take on it from what my guys were telling me before I did a little meditation. They basically said that what you're doing, Claudette, is bringing everything into abundance, harmony, and peace. You don't realize it, but you are. That's what it is all about. This is why you've had this journey yourself, because I feel like, you're bringing it to us, but you had a long, like, whole experience, I would say, yourself with it, because you had to go through that to be ready to share it. It's like,
Yeah.
and I told you already, like, your energy is way up there. But I feel like a lot of us at the minute are focusing on, like, how can we change the world and how can we do better and blah blah blah. Where I actually think that now is the time to focus on ourselves, because for an example would be, vegans will be like, what about the animals and what about our oceans and all of this? And this is kind of, again, a distraction to keep you in fear. Because I feel like once we all start to focus more in on our own life and trying to understand our own self more, everything ripples out. So now it's about, like with Skystrology, it's about taking the responsibility for yourself to actually learn and truly understand who you are, to be able to balance the world out. Like, it's going to, like, we help the animals, we help the planet when we look after ourselves. And
Well, it's
that's,
a new way of looking because there has been, a lot of people talk about false light. And, it's so funny because it kind of went, all the way to one spectrum to come back. But it really proved, that is a wake up call about Western astrology for me because you are giving attention to the stars and the energies that are not actually conducive to your growth here on this earth plane. And so when we all are taking that responsibility to align ourselves with the true energies of the earth, that can only raise the total vibration of us all together. I mean, it is a hard, we have been living under programs that haven't been serving, that have put us where we are. And now we realize it no longer serves us. Then where are the tools to help make that change? And I can say I have found that one of the tools for sure is Skystrology. It's a reconnector. It's been really helpful. And that's like the joy, the priceless return for me, seeing people reconnect and really understand their soul purpose and go forth and do, yeah, just get that self-confidence to reconnect with a purity within themselves. I, like you say, like the heart center, because that's why I am here, because I made the decision to put, well, I say to put everybody in front of me. I made decisions based on my heart. What would serve people? What would help them? And so I could have said, oh, my mother's got dementia and I can't do hats and stuff like that. And I just got my studio. I was doing a top shop. I was traveling the world. And now I'm the only child. I'm the only one who has to help my mother. And I said, but to make the decision based on the love of my mother as
Mhm.
opposed to professional gain or money.
It's me.
And that was the key. Like you said, this is the heart space. And when you love yourself, when you make this, when you connect with the heart space, like Joseph says, and you are really making decisions based on the ripple effects and how it affects others, you affect others. When people say, some people's sole purpose is just to be a example, to create that aura, all of us, right? To cultivate that. And this is the point in time where we are shifting and realizing that we were under a spell or under a program. And yes, it's difficult, but there's possibilities and there's a lot of opportunities to investigate or be curious about how to work with these, how
Mhm.
to change, or how to align yourself with actually what you were here to do and what was part of the energies as you came into this world.
I love that. And I think that's a good place to end it because kind of leaves people on a little like,
A cliffhanger.
yeah, they're
Well,
like,
then
oh.
come to this. I'm really, thank you for inviting me to do that. I really, I was thinking, how can I, share Skystrology with people and give them, what they need to understand, because it took me 3 years
Mhm.
to to freak out and to like what and find something new and everything. And that's part of the reason I do what I do, because I don't want it to take other people 3 years. I don't want, it doesn't need to be this fallout. It's actually a really good thing, as well. So yeah, thank you for
You're
the
so welcome. I feel like as well, I'm meeting more people like you as well because it just feels like we've all been hidden from each other. Do you know what I mean? Until now, it's like we're all finding each other and we all have the same vision and understanding of the truth.
yeah.
Um, which is all about that. Like people think of the 5D and they're not going to ascend. That's not how it works. It's
Yeah.
we have to go and understand ourselves to
Mhm,
understand everything
mhm.
because
Yeah.
so many rabbit holes you can go down, but
Mm.
you have to go down rabbit holes. I can't tell you what to do.
Mhm.
um,
Know thyself. Know
yes,
thyself.
yes. But thank you. You've got such a grounding, like you've got that earth energy whenever I talk to you. You're just so like you really grounded me today. So thank you so much, Claudette. And I'm sure I'll be talking to you again, and I'll be over in London soon enough with when everything kind of
No,
fades
that's
away. I'll be
good.
back to visit my friends and stuff, and I'll meet you as
Mhm.
well probably one day soon.
Mhm.
But thank you so much, Claudette.
Thank you,
I
Joseph Monroe.
need to change that name now because it's said.
It sounds so gorgeous. I love it.
Okay. Thank you everyone for watching. We will talk soon. Okay.